This week, it's another.
Oh, hello. Hello there, people. Can you guys see me? Can you guys see me? Is this thing on? I think I need to move my chair up a little bit higher. Oops, that's the wrong way. I just went down. I'm trying to go up. There we go. What's good? How you guys doing? Do you guys like this new setup? Are you guys liking this right now? Where's everybody at? I know y'all see me live. You guys like this setup? I have to give a big shout out. I have to give a big shout out to my main man Ton from Brazil. He actually showed me how to do this. So this is cool. So this is like the green screen thing without doing the green screen thing. So I'm not blocking up so much of the video. I mean, of course I am right now because I've made myself, very large and in charge, right? But, you know, I can change it so when we start reacting to the video, you know, it's going to look a little bit more, it's going to look more better. It's going to be better. All right. So we're going to start with the interior design video for Star Citizen. So let's go ahead and let's see what they're talking about. This is actually just some NVIDIA software. So if you have an NVIDIA video card, I'll You know, I should have put the link in the description, but I can do that later. So let's make ourselves a little bit smaller here. I should probably rotate my camera. That probably would make it better. I do that in a different stream though. I don't feel like getting up. I don't feel like getting up, y'all. I'm lazy. I just came back from the gym. Anyway, let's go ahead. I think that's pretty good. I feel like I'm getting cut off from the top of the camera, but it's okay. Let's go ahead and get started with this thing. Let's see what they're talking about. The journey to 4.0 interior design. An interior design video, man. This is good. I wonder, like, if there was like an architect that can help us with interior design, that can give us like their insight on how interior design should go. I'm just wondering if that exists out there in the known universe. If there was an architect that played Star Citizen that could help us out with this, that can give us the perspective and the insight that we may need. So let's go. I haven't seen this yet, but let's go.
This week, it's another Journey to 4.0 special, where we jump farther ahead and take a look at work scheduled to make its Persistent Universe debut in the upcoming 4.x branch of release. And this week, we're proud to bring Star Citizen art director Ian Leyland back to share with us a first look inside the buildings of Star Citizen's landing zones.
Oh, that looks sick. That also looks sick. I wonder, like, if it's going to get to the point to where, like, I can have, like, a permanent residence, right? So, like, if I go to, like, this building right here, right? Let's see where my hands are. This building. No. This building right here. This building, right? If I go there, I can just have, like, my own place. You know? Maybe I just wanted to go there and, like, take a nap. You know what I'm saying? I should be able to do that.
So those interiors, it's something we've always wanted to do, you know, because of, you know, we've had cities in the game for a while. We have many cities. We have many buildings. Therefore, we could have many.
You have cities, but they're more just like, how can I put this? The cities in this game are just, they're just kind of there. They're just kind of like placeholders because you actually can't traverse the city, you know? I think one of the things that they really need to do in this game, in my opinion, I'm not telling Star Citizen what to do here. You know, I'm not telling them how they should do their game or anything like that. But what I would suggest is make the cities to where they can be traversed. Like, I can go from one point in the city to another point in the city, and then you can spread things out a little bit more. You know what I'm saying? Make the cities more alive and more livable. Because, like, just going to, like, there's few little places that we can go. I mean, like, yeah, that's cool. But it's just, like, what's the point of, like, having this giant city that I can't explore?
Interiors. It's a perfect opportunity to put in a lot of play space. Now, with
pretty much
the players flying around these buildings, they've been largely urban landscapes, fairly uninteractable. You know, we've done a few landing pads to get the players in and out there, but really the real good stuff was on the inside. So up until now, we've been on the outside wondering about the inside, and today we're going to talk about the inside, looking outside. All right, so we're building interiors. The way in which we approach the concept development, now this was just a pure blue sky ideation phase, and the idea was to create inspirational material to use that as a content to inspire conversations, to find out what do we want to do for the game, what is cool for the game, and use that as the initial springboard for the conversation. So what we'll be looking through here is a present.
Sorry about that. I had one of the NVIDIA filters on. Yeah, I'm trying to move it right now, but I can't seem to. Like, this thing is like weird sometimes where it won't let me like select the chat on OBS Studio. even though like I clearly have it highlighted, but it like doesn't find it. Let me see if I can move myself. And then I can move the chat box. I may put the chat box over here on this side. Put me here. All right. We'll see if that works a little bit better.
Of blue sky ideation, primarily used as a springboard to start conversations with Chris, with the design director, and the game director to understand what do we want to put in the game, what could be cool for the game, and we use that as that initial inspiration point. So when we're talking about building interiors, how could we start to break that down? So right off the bat on the top, it's the rooftop spaces. So these would be the primary access points for the...
I mean, will these buildings... My biggest question right now is, will these buildings have stairs? Because we all know, like in Star Citizen, how elevators are. And I'm just wondering if stairs are a thing that is like lost technology in Star Citizen. Did we just lose the ability to use stairs? Is everything got to be elevators? You know what I'm saying? Maybe I want to ensure that my character is staying fit by using the stairs sometimes. You know what I'm saying? And also because, you know, sometimes elevators like to eat you and yeet you through the planet. You know what I'm saying? So give us the ability to use stairs, please. And thank you.
Player. Then just below that, the maintenance spaces, these could be industrial or technical. Also, we can have residential. So residential could be entire building blocks, so it could be a proportion. Then after that, we've got commercial. So these could be...
So they have like the maintenance like on top here. I don't know if they like I said, I'm not an architect, right? But for me, it just seems like a bad idea to have like the maintenance at the very top of the building. Usually, from what I've seen in buildings, the maintenance is like underneath. It's like in the bottom of the building. It's like, where's my hand? It's like down there at the bottom. I'm trying to point at it, but my camera, you know, is very focused on me, so.
Shopping, it could be offices, it could be social. And then at the bottom, obviously, we've got lobbies. Now, these also could be access points for the player. For example, if you're inside Area 18.
So like down here, right, like underneath this part of the building, this where you would have like your, you know, your maintenance and all that stuff underneath the building. Having it up top just seems like a risk to me. It's like an unnecessary risk.
The player can get access to it there. And then lastly, we've got the underground. Now, these could be interesting as a connector space between buildings. So maybe you've gone in through one building, you go down, and it could bring you through to another part of a building. Let's start with rooftops. Now, up until now, we've largely designed our cityscapes to be more of a backdrop to the landing zone. We have the social space generally in the middle, and then the cityscape goes around it. And they've been designed to give the best composition, to be interesting to fly around. But we've not really thought about designing these buildings from the inside out. So what we're looking at here is some potential concepts for what could be interesting landing spaces that drives the architecture of the building. With landing pads, it doesn't necessarily need to be on the top of the building. It could be, you know, halfway down or lower. So imagine, you know, you're in the lower parts of the city, and then we'd open up these additional play spaces. And as you can see here, it's not just the landing pad, it's the gameplay space that goes along with it too. Now, it doesn't necessarily need to be a single building. Imagine there is a network hub that services a few different buildings. So what we're looking at here is maybe like a transit hub where the player could land, get on some transit, and then that would lead to some buildings. Okay, so maintenance spaces. So these could be really interesting in terms of player interaction. You know, they could be dealing with the power or the maintenance of the building. And then also you could have technical spaces. So these would be more for technicians. It could deal with the data or the communications. And what we're looking at here is potential some, gameplay puzzles where the player has to work their way inside the main operation booth. So moving on to...
That's an interesting concept. You could have some gameplay, or you could even have some FPS stuff in these areas where you have to, maybe Ninetales comes in, or the Space Sin people come in and take over a building. You know what I'm saying? You have to go into the maintenance area and kind of get them out of there. That could be fun and interesting, I think.
Residential. So there's a huge amount of potential here. What we wanted to do with residential is two things. One, explore investigating the potential player housing.
That's what I'm thinking. FPS combat and loot, and having like different things in these places, having different missions. This could also help them fix the freaking Siege of Orison. Jesus Christ. The Siege of Orison is such a cluster of a mission because the way the buildings are currently designed is like very confusing. It's like you have like all of these platforms. You have upper floor, lower floor, but you go down to the upper floor. It's like very confusing. If they can figure it out and really what I think is they should do this with the Siege of Orison and those platforms, because that's already like in the game. And if they can figure it out from that perspective and put it into the game and make it work and make it better and kind of like condense that stuff down, and also make it to where that mission is more contained, meaning it doesn't take you 5 minutes to transit from platform to platform. It's maybe like a minute and a half, because by the time you get places in that mission, they could already be so far ahead that it's not even worth you trying to work your way to the end point of the mission to try to do it. So if they can use what they're doing here to fix that mission, I think they could be onto something.
So with that, we want to be able to create a variety of interior layouts. And also we want to explore a variety of architectural styles. So when we're looking at potential housing layouts, we wanted something fairly modular in a way in which we could create a variety of combinations. So whether it's living spaces or habitation spaces or social spaces. And also here we want the players to eventually be able to populate the player-owned habitation. So you see here like a first indication of how, the sort of dressing styles that you'd be able to do. Outside of something that's fairly utilitarian, we also want to do something that could be fairly high-end. So here we're just exploring some ideas about what a space could feel like on a different architectural style.
I feel like this is like an 890 jump. I feel like I'm sitting inside of a big 890 jump here. Feeling like some origin design language here. And I think that's another thing that they should do in this game too. They really need to build like the ship manufacturers into like the planet's lore, and also with this, they can make showrooms, they can make showrooms for the ships. And this is one of the things I've been really asking for, because I think the Crusader showroom, I think that is awesome. The one that's on Microtech and the one that's on ArtCorp, they're kind of like lackluster. It's just kind of like they just kind of stuck it in there. But if they can take these spaces, right, and really develop showrooms for the ships, and then they can build, like I said, the ship manufacturer's lore into the planet. Like Crusader has a lot of lore on Crusader, you know what I mean? And I would like to see like Origin, like on Microtech, Anvil and ArtCorp, like build these, Drake on Hurston. Like I would like to see like these manufacturers, the ship manufacturers, and like all these things have more connection to the planets, you know what I mean? And more connections to the society and the culture of those planets. I think that'd be awesome.
And more generous windows, interior spaces dedicated to more than just habitation. And these would be focused on other landing zones. So imagine you come across these in Area 18, or it could be when we come to Terra. And also, like I said, it could be informing future player-owned habitation architectural sets. Now, outside of the living quarters...
Also, what I would like to see as well is one of the things that drives me crazy in video games. Here, I need to get some water because I'm talking a lot. And we got to stay hydrated. One of the things that drives me crazy in video games is like they have like these outlaw places that are always so run down, right? I would like to see them make a more sophisticated criminal group. A criminal group that actually has their shit together. They're not in a rundown space. You know what I mean? Because like Grim Hex, all that stuff is cool. It's like outlaw. It's like very renegade. But can we get some more sophisticated criminal outposts? You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes maybe I want to be a criminal. Maybe I want to be a criminal and I want to live like a fucking slob. You know what I mean? Maybe I want to be a criminal, but also live in a decent, nice area. Because let's face it, most of the world's criminals today, the really good ones, are people that are in positions of power, right? Those are the best criminals. So, and they don't live like slobs. Let me tell you, they are living pretty well. So I would like to see that reflected into the game. You know, that's just my take. Not telling that they should do it, but that's just my take. Yeah, more like the mafia. You know what I mean? Like, let's make these criminals more sophisticated. Let's stop going with the general stereotype of what a criminal is. You know what I mean?
There's also the social spaces just outside. And we want these to be more than just the corridors that we're seeing in the game right now. So these could be multi-layered social spaces. And these could also inform advanced traversal routes for the player to be able to get inside these habitation rooms. So as we're talking through various architectural styles, what you're seeing here is just a collection of ideas, a collection of architectural intent to create like a palette or a mood that will inform art style and gameplay opportunities. So outside of residential, we're moving into the commercial area. So what this means is it means we can look at areas that are more gameplay focused outside of player habitation. So when we're talking about these could be office blocks. These could.
Are they gonna make it to where like in Star Citizen you can just have like a desk job? You can just work like a regular 9 to 5, almost give like some sim vibes where you have to complete like little mundane task. You know, I don't recommend that they do it in the game, but it could be interesting for people that don't, you know, especially like for casual players. It could be something that they can do to like earn like money, but like not a lot of money, but they can earn money while being safe, because we all know that there are Care Bears in this game. They get pissed off when you shoot them outside of an armistice zone, although they get a warning that says they're leaving the armistice zone, but they still bitch and complain anyway. Maybe they can give them some desk jobs so they can play Star Citizen but also be safe. Everybody wins. Keep them in a contained area. Let the people who are brave enough to go outside the armistice zone go outside the armistice zone and do whatever it is that they want to do.
Be corporate owned. Inside here, there could be corporate wings, there could be manufacturing, there could be office spaces. And what we try to think about with these, it's more than just a flat room. There should be advanced traversal. It should be multi-tiered. So outside of the commercial offices, we've also got like restaurants and bars. So what we're looking at here is a pretty cool like skyline bar in Lowville. That could be fun. But also in restaurants, Chris always described the idea of really high-end restaurants in the game where you can get access to food choices that isn't available anywhere else.
Or even with these high-end restaurants, there could be like mission givers at these high-end restaurants where you have to meet like, you know, somebody that's very fancy. Like maybe they're doing like exploration. Like you have to protect like an 890 jump from, you know, a fleet of ships if they're going to like a dangerous area, or you have to protect like, you know, miners or someone that's going into like a dangerous asteroid field and stuff like that. Those are also pretty good ways to give missions and game loops and things like that.
So right at the foot of the building, we're going to start talking about the lobby. So as I said before, these are going to be access points to the player, but also we can do more than just a standard foyer that we're seeing in the game right now. So this sort of space we're seeing here is, imagine there's an underground transit network, and that transit station feeds a network of building lobbies. So these could be social spaces. These could be really good combat spaces. They could have access to mini restaurants or bars or facilities. And we're just showing that in a variety of art styles. So ones are fairly low end, One could be fairly high-end, but the infrastructure is the same. So as we're exploring art style opportunities, this then drives where it would be appropriate. So some would be more appropriate in somewhere like Area 18, some would be more appropriate in somewhere like Horizon, and obviously some would be more appropriate for future landing zones like Odessa or Prime. And also when we're talking about lobbies, again, what we're trying to do is we're trying to describe multi-layer traversal spaces. So in these illustrations, you're seeing a variety of routes to then help inform the initial conversation with level design. Now, finally, we're going to talk about the underground. Now, this is, I think, one of the coolest spaces. So rather than just focusing on the positive axis of the building, we're going to look at the underground. Now, what this does, it means we can access a whole area of play space that doesn't need to be contained inside the building. So within a lobby, we want the player to start to traverse down into these spaces, and these could be underground transit networks. They could be abandoned underground transit networks. This then could drive potential racing opportunities. So when we was doing this, we thought, oh, it'd be really cool. Like, what would it look like if there's an underground street race going on there? Also, there could be traversal opportunities. Like I said before, if the player wanted to go into one building, down, and then through, and then up into another building, what would that traversal network be like? Especially if we're thinking about if it's an older part of the underground of a city, maybe it's less used, you know, people have built up, that would instantly inspire a whole bunch of traversal and investigation missions there. Or maybe
Also, that'd be good. Another good place for some FPS gameplay. A lot of good places to ambush players. And I would also like to see it to where, like, some of these certain parts of these tunnels are not in the armistice zone. You know what I mean? So, like, if you go down there, then you know, like, okay, we're going down here. It might be a little bit sketch. You know what I'm saying? So that could also be cool, fun, and exciting to where, like, you know, you're going down there. There's good loot also down there, but at the same time, you know, if you're going down there, it's going to be some shit. So you better be ready for that, Care Bears.
maybe there's an old aqueduct or an old infrastructure underground. You know, this could be perfect for underground street racing or other racing opportunities. So in a nutshell, what we looked at is
if they add like the underground racing to the game, they need to add components that are actually going to make things faster or things slower. You know what I mean? Like, it just can't be like everything's kind of like the same speed, because then, like, it's like, what's the point of like racing if everything goes the same speed? So they need to add components that, you know, make the vehicles move faster or move slower. Like, make it to where it's like an actual like underground racing scene, like kind of how it exists today in like real life. And that's something that's near and dear into my heart because I have a sports car. So like, I would like to see that, but if everybody is going the same speed, then like, what's the point? Like, give me something to where I can make my stuff go faster, and these races could actually be fun, competitive, and engaging.
blue sky investigation into what building interiors could be like for the game. These are essentially dungeon kits. You know, we want to be able to work on these areas in a fairly procedural manner, and we want these to be dungeon opportunities for gameplay spaces. It also will start to inform the future of player-owned habitation and the type of visuals or
nice.
look and
That's what I was
feels
talking about
that
in the
could
beginning.
be. So this ties into a much larger initiative. So we're seeing it a little bit now with the redo of Lowville. That's turning into a much bigger cityscape. And what that means is every city in the game is ready for these building interior spaces. Now, one thing to note is the cityscapes are probably going to change a little bit. Just from an initial investigation, we found our buildings are quite small. So expect to see the skylines go through a period of transition, but that's cool because that means we're designing the inside of the buildings and then we'll redo the architecture.
You know, it'd be really cool if they did. You know how they're, you know, thinking about changing like the skylines. If they just put in like some construction based equipment like around these cities, like right now. You know, put like some scaffolding. You know, they have like some cranes out there. They can maybe have some NPCs like, you know, like working on the buildings, but not actually working on them while they do this. That will give like more life to the cities, and it would, you know, show that hey, there's changes coming up, and it would just remind players that, you know, there's things happening in the game, that, you know, they are making changes to the cityscapes. We're not going to get it right now, but we can look at it and see that it's going through a change. Kind of how you would see construction like in a major metropolitan area in real life.
To fit to that, so I think it's going to be super positive for the game. So just in case we was thinking it's all just blue sky concept, actually we're going to start full production on these spaces right at the end of this quarter.
So the end of this quarter, so that's March. So really they're going to be starting in April. Probably won't see them for like a year, I would assume. I wouldn't assume that we're going to see this anytime soon. This is going to be probably 4 point whatever.
So, what did we learn this week? Well, we learned that much like the new underground facilities we showcased before, building interiors will be a new series of...
Okay, that's just his outro. All right, cool. Got it. Thank you, Jared. All right, let's go into Inside Star Citizen. Or Star Citizen Live. My bad.
Buddy.
You can't hear it? That's weird. The other one was working. Could you hear the other one?
Modular set pieces.
Can you hear it now? Yeah, it's not really coming up in the audio monitor. That's really strange. Let me try something real quick.
Buddy.
Can you hear it now? I can hear it. I can hear it just fine. I thought maybe there was something to do with my I thought there was something maybe to do with my device. That's weird. Yeah, because also it's not coming up all that much in the audio monitor. Let me try this.
Why are you all looking at me? What?
Can you hear it now?
Buddy. is the word bright light because I want to circumstances like that. But circumstances before we don't take the path, some we
Join my Patreon for a watch along. I do have a Patreon, but I don't use it. I mean, I only have 2 members here, so I don't imagine getting more. I don't imagine getting more people on Patreon, at least not at the moment. Yeah, I'm seeing that on the audio monitor. That's very strange. I don't know why it's doing that. Let me close that. Close that. Yeah, that's weird. Let me try to get it back open real quick. Restart Firefox.
we like very busy and trying desperately to get cash out the door. I go by their desk and I'm like, stop doing that important stuff. And I like to trade on friendships and get people to say yes. And that's why joining us today are 4 people I'm very proud to call friends. Stephen, Owen, and Chris. First trip.
Can you hear it now?
So far.
It's been awesome. Loved it. Lovely. Yeah. Great seeing everybody. The studio is awesome. It's amazing. Bustling. A lot of energy.
Yeah, only you can show it. Quite often we talk about how great the studio is and everything. We haven't shown a whole lot of it. It's because I had to promise Chris that I would wait until every little aspect of it is done and then do a nice big kind of reveal. He's a man who wants to build experiences and stuff like that. So it's very. I'm chomping at the bit to do a lot of things that I have waiting in the bit.
He's got to do one of those Chris
so
Roberts
weird.
sections where he.
I don't know why it's doing that. So I guess we'll just skip Star Citizen Live today. How about that? How about that, Star Citizen? We'll just skip you today. I was going to do a reaction to a different video. But after talking to a few friends about it, I decided that I don't give a fuck. It's still not working. So we're just going to hop into the game. They put another patch out, so I don't know what's going on with this patch, but we're going to find out. Also, there's nobody really watching, but make sure you get entered for the giveaway. Well, it's like it's mostly this Asian dude pretty much came out and said that Black Americans are, you know, committing hate crimes against Asian people at a very high rate, which is just not true. You know, I pulled up some crime statistics about it, and there's 40.6 million Black Americans, right? Out of that group of people, only 1,507 Black people committed hate crimes that were reported to police. So I'm just like, I'm not going to entertain someone that's trying to gaslight me for views. You know, if he wants to go around trying to gaslight people, well, he's going to run into the wrong one day, you know? So I just said, you know, it's essentially not worth it. And my thing is also like, I don't I don't want to go back and forth with somebody. Like, I'm not, because I'm gonna say my points. And it's like, you can't argue the numbers. So, like, what are you saying after that? Because I'm gonna move on, and they're still gonna be talking, and I'm just gonna be like, I'm already done with this conversation. Pretty much. And even by that account, right? If you look at the amount of hate crimes, right? So white people committed like somewhere like around 5,000 hate crimes. But if you look at that in terms of scope of the entire race of white people that live in the United States, the numbers are actually pretty low. You know, so I don't understand. I don't understand why people like racially grift like that. This is, it's not a cool thing to do. Oh, Jesus Christ! Let me, my game capture. Let me fix that. There we go. That's better. They do make more money, but man, it's just like, that's just energy I don't have. I don't have energy to to put out hate. You know what I mean? Like, I've experienced enough hate in my life. Like, I don't want to put out hate to make money. You know. The hateful energy is like, it's just so draining. It's just so heavy. I'm just like, bro, I'm done with all that shit. Oh, I know what you're saying. I know exactly what you're talking about. I was just saying like why I personally don't do it. Because I could easily make videos like that, right? I could easily like reply to him and, start that whole thing back and forth, but like I don't have energy for that. I want to put energy into things that actually fulfill me, and I don't think that that would fulfill me. Attention, my friend, is the biggest currency. Like Black Americans, like we have real grievances that have been like we have real things that have been done against us. We have real issues externally and externally, right? But fixing those problems won't be fixed complaining about it on YouTube and trying to gaslight other people. Like what I'm doing to help rectify the situation is not going to be seen on YouTube. I may show the result, but I won't be on YouTube talking about it all that much.